Welcome. What you are about to watch is not science fiction, and it is not folklore. It is a serious investigation into one of history's most compelling unresolved questions. The mystery of Cicada 3301, the internet's most elaborate mystery, has never been solved. Across the world, in universities, research institutes, and field excavations, serious scholars are wrestling with evidence that does not fit the accepted story. Evidence that has been documented, measured, and peer-reviewed, and that still has no satisfying conventional explanation. We are going to look at that evidence carefully, without prejudice in either direction, not dismissing what is extraordinary, but not accepting it without scrutiny either. The truth, as always, is in the details. On January 5, 2012, an image appeared on 4chan containing a single sentence: "Hello. We are looking for highly intelligent individuals." Hidden inside the image was a series of encrypted clues that launched one of the most elaborate puzzle hunts in internet history. Over the following weeks, solvers were led through layers of cryptography, steganography, ancient Welsh poetry, medieval number theory, and finally to physical dead drop locations on telephone poles in cities across 14 countries, all activated simultaneously. The puzzle required genuine expertise across multi-plea academic disciplines to progress. Those who reached the final stage received private communications and then vanished from the solver community without explanation. A second round began exactly 1 year later, then a third, then silence. No organization has ever claimed responsibility. No government, company, or individual has been credibly identified as the creator. The internet's most capable cryptographers spent years on this puzzle, and the question of who built it and why has never been answered. This is where our investigation begins. Stay with us, because the further we go into the evidence, the more extraordinary it becomes. The story you think you know is only the surface. Beneath it lies something far more remarkable. Let us begin. Before we examine the specific evidence, we need to step back and understand the context. This case does not exist in isolation. It sits within the landscape of modern documented mysteries, and to properly evaluate what we are looking at, we need to understand the broader picture that surrounds it. Governments keep secrets. This is not a conspiracy theory. It is documented fact, confirmed by declassified archives, freedom of information disclosures, and the confessions of officials long after the events in question. The United States government ran secret programs to test psychedelic drugs on unwitting civilians, MKultra, to spy on its own citizens, COINTELPRO, and to cover up nuclear testing incidents that killed American soldiers. The British government suppressed information about UFO encounters by military personnel for decades. The Soviet Union systematically falsified scientific data to maintain ideological conformity. None of this means that every government secret involves supernatural phenomena or alien contact. The reality of classified programs is almost always more mundane. Military technology being tested covertly, intelligence operations that cannot be publicly acknowledged, or simply the bureaucratic instinct to classify first and justify later. Most UFO sightings that turn out to have official explanations were classified aircraft. Most government denials of anomalous phenomena are straightforwardly honest. The phenomena being denied are simply not real. But the documented history of government secrecy has a practical effect on investigative credibility. When officials deny knowledge of events that witnesses describe in compelling detail, that denial cannot be taken at face value without independent corroboration. The proven track record of institutional concealment means that institutional denial, however authoritative it sounds, is not the same as evidence of absence. This complicates every modern mystery that touches on official narrative. This context matters because it tells us something important. What we are about to investigate is not an isolated curiosity. It is part of a pattern that researchers in multiple fields have been independently documenting for decades. And patterns in science demand explanation. With that foundation in place, let us now turn to the specific case at hand. Now we reach the heart of the matter, the core evidence surrounding Cicada 3301, The internet's most elaborate mystery has never been solved, is more extensive, more verified, and more troubling for conventional explanations than most people realize. Let us walk through it systematically, fact by fact, and allow the evidence to speak for itself. We are not going to speculate here. Every point that follows is documented in peer-reviewed publications, official archaeological records, or government archives that are publicly accessible. The question is not whether these facts are real. The question is what they mean. Consider this first extraordinary detail. Cicada 3301 launched on January 5, 2012, on the 4chan image board with an image containing a hidden message directing solvers to find a book. 3 confirmed puzzle rounds were issued: January 2012, January 2013, and January 2014. Each began with a similar announcement image, and each escalated in complexity. No 4th round has appeared as of the present day. This single data point, if taken in isolation, might be set aside. Anomalies happen, instruments malfunction, researchers make mistakes, but as we continue, you will see that this is not an isolated anomaly, it is part of a consistent and documented pattern. But that is only the beginning. Researchers also discovered the puzzles used a sophisticated combination of techniques: steganography, data hidden within image files using tools like outguess, prime number sequences, Mayan numeral systems, the medieval Welsh text liber primus written in runes, texts by occultist Aleister Crowley, and references to cyberpunk and cypherpunk literature. No single solver solved the complete puzzle alone. Now, a skeptic might propose an alternative explanation for this, and that is entirely reasonable. We should always test alternative explanations before accepting extraordinary ones. The problem is that the alternative explanations, when examined carefully, create more problems than they solve. The mystery deepens when we examine. Physical components appeared simultaneously in cities across 14 countries, including the United States, United Kingdom, France, Australia, South Korea, and Poland. QR codes were affixed to telephone poles that, when scanned, led to the next stage of the online puzzle. The simultaneous, geographically dispersed physical component required significant real-world organizational infrastructure. This is where the conventional account begins to strain. Each individual fact might be dismissed or minimized in isolation. But the cumulative weight of the evidence is another matter entirely. Perhaps most remarkable of all, Marcus Wanner is one of the few publicly identified individuals to have completed the 2012 puzzle. He has spoken in interviews about his experience, but has not disclosed the content of the private communications he received upon solving it. Other apparent solvers from subsequent rounds have maintained silence about the outcome, either by choice or by instruction. Researchers who have examined this evidence have described it as genuinely difficult to explain within the accepted framework. These are not fringe commentators. They are credentialed academics publishing in mainstream journals, raising questions that the field has not yet satisfactorily answered. Then there is the matter of the Liber Primus, a book of rune-encoded text central to the 2013 and 2014 rounds, remains only partially decoded by the solver community as of 2024. Pages continue to yield to analysis over time, but the complete text has not been rendered. The document appears to contain a philosophical or ideological framework rather than a simple directional clue. What makes this particularly significant is its independence from the previous points. This is not a case of one theory requiring another. These are separate lines of evidence converging on the same uncomfortable conclusion. Adding to the enigma is this finding. Numerous organizations have claimed to be Cicada 3301 since the puzzles ended. None has been verified. The original puzzle's cryptographic signatures were produced with a specific PGP key. Any genuine communication from the original creator would carry that signature. Claimed continuations lacking the verified PGP signature have been dismissed by the research community. Taken together, these facts form a pattern that cannot be explained by coincidence misidentification, or methodological error. Each piece of evidence has been examined by skeptics. Each has been subjected to alternative explanations, and in each case, the alternative explanation falls short of accounting for everything that has been documented. We are left with a body of evidence that demands explanation and an accepted narrative that does not provide one. This is where serious inquiry begins. Now that we have established the evidence, we need to examine the theories that researchers have proposed to explain Cicada 3301. The internet's most elaborate mystery has never been solved. This is where the debate becomes most intense, because the theories reflect not just different interpretations of the same evidence, but fundamentally different assumptions about what is possible and what the past looked like. Understanding these theories is not just an academic exercise. Each one has been championed by serious researchers with genuine credentials, and each one captures something that the others miss. The truth, if it is ever established, will likely draw on elements of several. The first major explanation proposed by researchers holds that the most widely held theory is that Cicada 3301 was an intelligence agency recruitment exercise designed by the CIA, GCHQ, NSA, or an allied organization to identify and recruit individuals with elite skills in cryptography, steganography, programming, and classical language. The simultaneous global physical component and the depth of required expertise are consistent with state-level resources and a talent acquisition goal. This interpretation has significant academic support and is backed by substantial evidence, but it is not without problems. Critics point out that it requires assumptions that go beyond what the evidence strictly supports, and that key predictions of this theory have not been confirmed by subsequent research. It remains contested, and the contest is productive. A rival school of thought argues that a private technology or cybersecurity company created the puzzles as an unconventional recruitment mechanism, a self-selecting filter that would identify candidates with precisely the skills required for advanced security. Tie work without revealing the hiring organization's identity or inviting conventional applications. The disappearance of solvers into private contact is consistent with a hiring process rather than a philosophical or artistic project. This theory is controversial, and deliberately so. Its proponents argue that the evidence demands an explanation outside the conventional framework. Critics counter that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, and that the evidence presented, while suggestive, does not yet meet that standard. The debate continues in peer-reviewed literature. Perhaps the most unconventional theory suggests that Cicada 3301 is the work of a cypherpunk or hacktivist collective building an encrypted communication network and recruiting members with genuine technical competence through the puzzle process. The ideological content of the Liber Primus, emphasizing privacy, freedom of information, and the importance of knowledge, aligns with cypherpunk values more closely than with state or corporate interests. What is striking about this debate is not merely that experts disagree. That is normal and healthy in science. What is striking is the quality of the disagreement. Serious researchers, working from the same body of evidence, reaching genuinely different conclusions. That level of fundamental disagreement, when it persists over decades, is a signal that something important has not yet been understood. The question is not which of these theories is right. The question is whether any of them is right, or whether the truth is something that none of the current frameworks has yet been able to capture. The case surrounding Cicada 3301, the internet's most elaborate mystery, has never been solved, does not rest on speculation alone. What distinguishes this investigation from pure mythology is the existence of documented, physical, verifiable evidence, material that has been examined by credentialed researchers and whose authenticity is not seriously disputed. What is disputed is its interpretation. Let us review the most significant documented evidence as objectively as possible. We are not going to cherry-pick the data that supports a preferred conclusion, We are going to lay out what exists and let you draw your own assessment. Physical evidence supporting this account includes the simultaneous activation of physical dead drop locations in 14 countries in 2012 and 2013 required logistical coordination that exceeds the capacity of a single individual or small group acting without institutional support. The consistent quality, the cryptographic sophistication, and the cross-disciplinary depth of all three rounds indicate sustained organizational involvement over at least 3 years. This evidence has been subjected to independent verification. Skeptics have examined it. Alternative explanations have been proposed and tested. The data remains. The question of what it means remains open. Investigators have documented Marcus Wanner's confirmed completion of the 2012 puzzle and his subsequent receipt of private communications demonstrate that the puzzle had a genuine endpoint and that the organization behind it made real contact with successful solvers. Wanner has described receiving a document, its contents undisclosed, and then the contact ending. This is consistent with a selection or vetting process rather than an art project with no practical purpose. This evidence has been subjected to independent verification. Skeptics have examined it. Alternative explanations have been proposed and tested. The data remains. The question of what it means remains open. On-site analysis revealed the cryptographic PGP signing key used for all verified Cicada 3301 communications has never been associated with any identified individual or organization. The key was used consistently and correctly across all 3 rounds, indicating a single coherent entity with competent operational security, and has not appeared in any data breach or law enforcement disclosure. This evidence has been subjected to independent verification. Skeptics have examined it. Alternative explanations have been proposed and tested. The data remains. The question of what it means remains open. Each individual piece of evidence might, in principle, be explained away. A single anomalous artifact might be misidentified. A single anomalous date might reflect contamination. A single anomalous eyewitness account might reflect misperception. The question is whether all of the evidence can be explained away, and whether the explanations required are more or less plausible than the evidence itself. When multiple independent lines of inquiry converge on the same conclusion, that convergence is the most powerful signal in empirical science. And that is exactly what we are seeing here. We have examined the history, the evidence, and the theories surrounding Cicada 3301. The internet's most elaborate mystery has never been solved. Now we need to ask the question that is sometimes overlooked in discussions of ancient mysteries. Why does this matter? What does it mean for us today? It would be easy to file this away as an interesting historical curiosity, a puzzle from a distant past with no bearing on our present lives. That would be a fundamental mistake. The questions raised by this case touch on issues that are directly relevant to who we are, where we came from, and what the human story actually looks like before the period covered by conventional history. No 4th round of Cicada 3301 has appeared since January 2014. The puzzle has been comprehensively documented by online communities, and the Liber Primus continues to yield partial translations. Marcus Wanner has given interviews without disclosing the outcome of his contact with the creators. The verified PGP key has not signed any communication since the final confirmed round. Theories range from intelligence recruitment to cypherpunk network building to art, but none has been confirmed by evidence. The puzzle's reputation remains extraordinary. It required genuine multidisciplinary expertise, engaged thousands of solvers globally, and produced zero confirmed identification of its creators. It remains the internet's most technically demanding and reputationally prestigious unsolved mystery. Furthermore, the tools available to investigate these questions are advancing rapidly. Satellite imaging, ground-penetrating radar, ancient DNA analysis, isotopic tracing, and deep-sea sonar are all providing capabilities that previous generations of researchers could only dream of. Cases that were genuinely unresolvable 10 years ago are now open to new analysis, and the findings, consistently, are expanding rather than contracting the mystery. The investigation continues. New discoveries are being made. New analyses are being published. New voices are entering the conversation from disciplines that were not previously part of the discussion. The answers, when they come, and they will come, will not merely solve a historical puzzle. They will force a fundamental revision of assumptions that underpin our entire understanding of human history and human potential. We have now walked through the complete case of Cicada 3301. The internet's most elaborate mystery has never been solved, from the historical record through the physical evidence, across the competing theories, and into the modern significance of what remains unresolved. What the story of Cicada 3301 ultimately reveals is not just a historical puzzle. It is a mirror. It reflects our assumptions back at us, our assumptions about what ancient people were capable of, about how knowledge is gained and lost across the centuries, and about the relationship between what we know and what we merely think we know. The evidence presented in this documentary is real. The questions it raises are genuine. The debate among researchers is ongoing, and that is healthy. Science is not a set of conclusions. It is a process. And the process requires that we remain open to evidence that challenges what we thought we knew, however uncomfortable that challenge might be. If you came to this documentary as a skeptic, we hope the evidence gave you something to think about. If you came as a true believer, we hope the critical examination gave you a more nuanced picture. The truth, as always, lies in the evidence, not in what we want to be true. Thank you for watching. If this investigation sparked your curiosity, please subscribe to the channel. We publish new documentaries every week, covering the full range of historical mysteries that the mainstream has not yet adequately explained. Leave a comment below telling us which case you want us to investigate next. The conversation continues. The investigation never ends.